Welcome to The Unlikely Executive, the podcast where passion meets purpose. Here we share stories of people who have transformed their lives and the world around them by following what truly drives them. I'm Barbara Carlisle, an executive coach and mentor for non-profits, and I help people who want to make a positive impact actually do it. Let's dive in. So today we've got Marg Ollivier from Expect Ltd. And welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. And we're going to ask you a little bit about your journey as a leader. And my first question to you is, when you were growing up, what did you want to be?
I wanted to be a teacher. Yeah.
Right, so I can tell by the tone of your voice, and I know you a little bit, Marg, that the idea of being a teacher is no longer. Were you ever a teacher?
No.
No longer a teacher.
No.
So what was it about being a teacher that you really, why?
I just think as I got older, I realised that I probably didn't have the patience to deal with 35 children all screaming at me.
Okay, so you don't have but you recognise that in yourself. But as a CEO of a charity, I guess patience is one of the things that you do need to have.
Absolutely, but I'm a lot older now. So
you're older, and the people you're dealing with are older.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as you develop as a person and an individual, you change, don't you? And you do have to be patient to be a CEO. Patience of a saint, actually, which I don't always have, if I'm completely honest. But yeah, I think, the teacher thing came because I loved playing teacher when I was little. So
the comparables of like a teacher, that guidance, the giving people inspiration, I guess, isn't it? To learn from them. If you think about what a teacher does, is to give them information, stimulate their thinking, and get them to feel that they can do their best in their education, if you're a teacher. But as a CEO, it's to do the best for the people that you serve. Yeah. Absolutely. So it's to motivate staff. Hopefully they're quite motivated anyway, because, it's not paid terribly well to be a support worker. So I think the vast majority of people who decide that they want to support people with learned disability or mental ill health, vulnerable adults, are motivated to a degree anyway. But it's to motivate them to make sure that the support that they're providing does what it says on the tin, basically. And that's that we want people to be as independent as they can possibly be, irrespective of that they've got a disability. So do you want to tell me a little bit about what Expect Limited do then? You've briefly touched on it there, but if you want to go into a little bit more information. Yeah, so Expect is a charity, been around for 35 years, and we support people with learning disability, autism, mental ill health, various other things that come on the disability scale, if you like. Most of the people we support are adults, but we do have a service in Bolton that supports young people, so 16 to 18-year-olds, maybe coming out of care for the first time, at risk of sexual exploitation, that sort of thing. So yeah, very broad range of client group that we provide services to. What do your services enable these people to be able to do that they couldn't do before? Live their best life, live independently. It provides choice, provides support to do the things that they want to do. Sadly, society still has stigma attached to disability, and we are desperate for, to try and erase that stigma, if you like, and for the people that we support not to be seen as having a disability, just to be seen that they're different, just like you and I are different. So it means that people are able to live in their own homes. They're able to go out and integrate into the community, have hobbies, go and watch football matches, anything at all that they want to do. Then we can support them in doing that. But it's got to be their choice. It's not what the staff want to do. It's what the service users want to do. When you say that you help them to go to a football match, would that mean that they would go with a support worker to a football match? Probably to start with. Yeah. But, the hope is that, we see
capabilities in the people that we support. And a lot of the people we support, they start off maybe needing a lot of support. And as it goes on and they develop their independence more, they develop skills that they didn't otherwise have, social skills, making their own food, things like that. We've just had a guy who's been with us for 8 years, and he's just been on holiday for the first time on his own, and he's got his next one booked. And he's also off to Blackpool this weekend. Now, he would never, ever, without support, have been able to achieve that. So it's just fantastic to see people just living ordinary lives.
Well, that's it, isn't it? It's what you and I might take for granted.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll go to Blackpool. Neither here nor there, is it really? But for people who've got some learning difficulties, it is a major step forward. And going on holiday on your own, I know a lot of people who wouldn't feel comfortable going on their own, but that
included, I think.
Yeah. Oh no, I love the idea of going on my own. But the reality is that it's always nice to go with others. Honest, but it's that giving people the autonomy and the choices that they can then make for themselves. Just for clarification, Expect Limited provide support workers for people in their own homes. And do you have a day? Is there a sort of place where people come to gather together?
So we've got supported living services, which is supporting people in their own homes. So that's in social housing. So our services, the actual properties are owned by landlords. The service users have tenants' licenses. We've got a day service, which is in Seaforth, the BRC, Bowersdale Resource Centre. So they currently have about 120 service users on the books who use that service. So that is open Mondays to Fridays, 10 till 4, with a range of activities going on every single day. They've just received level 4 Britain in Bloom, which is thriving. So they've got their own little garden there that the service users have done. With the support of the staff, they grow their own vegetables. We've got a gym set up there, and we get professionals in to talk to the service users about healthy lifestyles, giving up smoking, all that sort of stuff. But pretty phenomenal, actually, what goes on in the BRC.
So how do you keep a track as CEO of what's happening and what's best for the service users?
Well, as a CEO, I'm always reading, what the new models of care are, what funders are looking for, what gaps are there in the market. Obviously, as the population ages, then there are different needs. And then with my managers and the staff, we decide what we think is going to be needed in the future. But obviously, every person who comes to us is an individual. We assess that individual based on their need, and we put in place, the things that obviously that person is involved in that process. Their families are often involved in the process. So really, we're just providing what they tell us that they want to do and what they need, whilst at the same time being mindful of what is going on, across the sector, across adult social care. We're looking at the minute around assistive technology. Obviously, our funders are local authorities who are always keen to save as much money as they possibly can. So it's exciting. It's always exciting. There's always something new, and there's always lots of success stories, which makes it all worthwhile at the end of the day.
Yeah. And it is about making sure that you can have that impact on an individual level.
It's absolutely phenomenal to be able to see the difference that your staff can make to the lives of the people that we support. And I'm really, really passionate about that. And I know that all of our staff are. And it is being aware when people's needs change, because that's really important as well. It sounds a bit cliched, but people have journeys, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
And, we were talking about people being more independent. Actually, a lot of people's independence comes from just being listened to, because these are often people who nobody's listened to. Everybody's just thought, oh, they've got a disability. Yeah, they won't be able to do that. And it's actually getting them to feel confident in doing those things. And once people have got confidence, they can do whatever they like, really.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And as a coach, I would totally concur the power of just listening and staying silent. And, acknowledging what somebody's saying is so important for their well-being and their sense of, I am all right. I can say these things and it's okay to say that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And in care, the world has moved on. 20, 30 years ago, when people were supported, people did things for them. So, they didn't enable them. It's very different now. It is all about enablement. It's about, no, we're not doing this for you. We'll help you to do it. We'll show you how to do it, but you need to be able to do it yourself for yourself. And it is incredible, the feeling of success that somebody feels once they can do something for themselves that they've never been able to do before.
Yeah. But sometimes that feels like it takes a long time, doesn't it? Sometimes the cookie cutter, let's all give them this. This is what you can sort of go, right, I've done that, tick that box. But when you're working with the individual, it takes longer. Some people might take, like you've said, 8 years to get to the stage of going on holiday on your own. But for others, it might take significantly longer or less. But it's that personalised care, isn't it?
So person-centred active support, which the active support is absolutely critical. That, you are actively supporting somebody to do what they want to achieve, not doing it for them, which, was sort of the model of care back in the day. And I think it's very clear to see in communities up and down the country that way of working is successful. That these individuals who maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago, would never, ever really have been fully integrated or accepted into society. It would have been, oh, well, they can't do that.
Yeah.
There isn't that sense anymore. There isn't that train of thought. The train of thought very much is from adult social care providers. The sky's the limit. These people can do whatever they choose to do, just like you or I can.
Yeah.
I mean, they all have strengths and weaknesses, obviously, but that's human nature.
Well, absolutely, we all have strengths and weaknesses. And I want to talk about your strengths and weaknesses. What do you think you need, or do you bring as a CEO? What's your sort of superpower? What strengths do you pull on to be an effective CEO?
I think probably the best strength is self-awareness. So I think, people see the word CEO, don't they? And it's got all these grand sort of perceptions. And I don't see it like that. I mean, I'm just fortunate enough to be the leader of the organisation. And I'm no more important within that organisation than anybody else, but I'm very self-aware. I think people get bogged down when they talk about leadership and you think that you've got to tick so many different boxes. And in actual fact, I think that if you're a natural leader, you just do it. And you listen to people, you try and teach people, you try and make people themselves more aware. It's about knowing that I'm not always right. I make mistakes just like anybody else, but it's about learning from those mistakes and moving forward and seeing, how would I do that differently next time? So I don't think there's no magic formula. I don't think. I think emotional intelligence is absolutely critical, and I think that's actually more important than academic intelligence when you're leading an organisation.
Yeah. So that emotional intelligence is about self-management, awareness of others, managing others, and managing yourself. And who do you have in your team to support you? Who?
I think all of my team are very, very supportive. Actually, I think I'm very, very fortunate. I think because we're a charity, because everybody's passionate, you don't work for a charity if you're not passionate, because there's a lot of other options out there. So I think because people are passionate, we're also passionate to see everybody else do well. So it's not like it's not about status or I need to be better than that person. It's very much a team. We are very much a team. Because we're a charity, I've got a board of trustees. They are incredibly supportive. They're all very knowledgeable in their own fields. And so they bring a lot of different benefits to the organisation. We had an away day with the trustees last week, which was, fabulous. Because most of them haven't come from that background. They bring different knowledge, different ideas. So that's really helpful as well, whilst at the same time that they're very mindful that we are in adult social care.
So how do you manage your own mental well-being?
I'm a Liverpool fan. seriously, I mean, that is I go to all the home games, and that is my time. And for those 90 minutes, as relaxed as you can be watching a football game. So, yeah, I've also got a really good network of friends. I do have a mentor who I speak to regularly. I network a lot. I do speak to other CEOs, other leaders, talking about things over a nice glass of red wine, tends to bring the blood pressure down.
Yeah, problem shared, problem
Definitely.
Not solved by any chance, but it's that the commonalities of the issues that you're facing.
Yeah.
And can I ask how you became CEO? Was it a planned manoeuvre on your part, a career?
It wasn't actually, no. It wasn't planned at all. In fact, when I look back now, I'm still actually quite shocked. But I have to say, I'm delighted that I am. And it's been probably one of the best things that's ever happened to me. No, I lived in London for 31 years, moved back to my northern roots 7 years ago, worked for Sefton CVS as head of HR, governance and compliance. Job came up in Expect for very, very similar role. And because that was very similar organisation to where I'd worked in London for 10 years, I applied and was successful. And then sadly, the then CEO was taken very ill, and I just naturally stepped in, really. And when the CEO returned to work, he decided that we needed a succession plan, and they advertised for deputy, which I applied for and was successful. And the plan was always then, when he retired, I would take over. But no, it absolutely was not planned. I can absolutely guarantee that.
And you've mentioned that you've got a mentor. What have been the biggest sort of challenges that you've had to take to your mentor? If you don't mind sharing, obviously.
No, I don't mind sharing at all. The biggest challenge is the lack of funding in the sector. So I'm very passionate about maintaining that quality, high quality support, and we've got very little money with which to do it. So that can get very, very frustrating. You're constantly having to do cost cutting exercises. And I guess because I'm very passionate, with that comes, I get very frustrated around certain things. So I'll go to my mentor. We have regular sessions, and she has given me some really good techniques for calming down.
Yes.
And, yeah. Okay. Right. It's not as bad as it looks, sort of thing. And I think just having that person, although we are a team, and I've got an excellent team, and I absolutely adore my staff team, it can be a very lonely place. I don't mind being lonely, actually, because I'm quite I like my own company. But at the same time, in business, that's not always a good thing. And so I think that having that person there who you can just tell, and it's like my counsellor, really, to be fair, is really, really helpful for my mental health and well-being.
Yeah. And that resonates with what you were saying about your service users as well. It's that first time people have felt that they've been listened to. Yeah. Obviously, your mentor will give you advice based on their own experiences and tools and techniques, but there's that common bond, isn't there, about being heard and then getting it off your chest and expressing how you want to express yourself without any fear of judgment.
Yeah, definitely. She's very, very supportive. I mean, we have a good laugh as well.
So can I ask you, what would you recommend if you were being a mentor for a new CEO of an organisation, a charitable organisation, and they said, I've got 90 days to prove myself, what shall I do? What would your advice be?
Stick to what you're passionate about. So if there's something that you really want to do, you really want to introduce, you've got all the rationale for behind that decision, don't be put off. Persevere, stick to it. Trust your gut instinct. I think it's easy sometimes to get bogged down in, you read a lot of things and you think, I'm not like that. I need to change. I need to be more like that. And actually, we just all need to be individual and focused on what we believe, is best for the people that we're serving. And I think just have that tenacity. Don't let people put you off. There are often in especially higher levels, people who will try and put you down, and don't be put down. Yeah, is what I would say.
So you didn't mention find a mentor, but I think for me, it's finding somebody who's on your side, sticking to what you're passionate about, being tenacious.
100%. 100%.
And maybe laughing now and again.
Definitely. You've got to have that. You've got to have that light relief, because a lot of what we do is very serious. You know, I mean, I haven't touched on the very, you know, horrible things sometimes that we have to hear and see. And you know, we have safeguardings, you know, that's throughout any social care organisation. You know, you get a service user who is referred to you, and when you're seeing the history of that individual, it can be very, very sad, you know. So you do need that light relief at the end of the day as well. But I absolutely agree 100%. You need a mentor, because even the best of us cannot do it completely on our own.
Yeah. Well, most CEOs of the top 500 will have one, if not more, coaches and mentors.
Yeah.
And it's something that perhaps the charitable sector benefits from already, but perhaps could even do more.
I think people are realising that, you know, charity doesn't mean that it's not a business. You have to have the head of a business. Heart of a charity, head of a business, is what I've always said. I think that's absolutely crucial. But yes, it is having that self-awareness that you can't do it all on your own. And that success comes from the input of lots and lots of different people, not just one person.
Yeah. And the need to, you know, make sure that you have time for yourself, even if it is Liverpool Football Club. And do you ever take on volunteers?
We do. We actually have service users who are volunteers in the BRC. So we've got 3 at the minute. We are very shortly going to be advertising for a team of volunteers to help with a new project that will be going live probably mid-December to early January. We've just received, very luckily, a huge amount of funding to run a mental health transformation service for adults living with severe mental illness who are suffering from loneliness and isolation. So that will be headed up by a paid salaried member of staff who will work alongside a team of volunteers.
Well, that sounds great, because loneliness is a massive issue and impacts on your mental health.
Absolutely.
Whether you're deemed as having a mental illness or not.
There's so many community groups in and around Liverpool. It's absolutely phenomenal. You know, aside from the football team, the community groups are second to none as well.
But it's taking that first step, isn't it? And if you're feeling that you don't feel part of the community, don't feel part of society, not comfortable with yourself, you're not really going to go to a community group without some support and encouragement.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, it's about getting the confidence. You know, the horrific events in Southport of a couple of months ago have actually impacted severely on people's loneliness and isolation, because people are frightened of going out now. Yeah. You know, the riots that followed that awful event, you know, have meant that it's impacted on, you know, more vulnerable members of the community, and actually not so vulnerable members of the community, because at the end of the day, mental ill health can affect us all. It affects 1 in every 4 people. Yeah. And I think the, you know, the last bit of research that I read is that it's likely to be 1 in every 3 people. So yeah, it's, these are people who may not necessarily have any other disability other than that they're suffering from mental ill health at this minute in time.
So if people wanted to get in touch with you, Marg, where would they go?
So our website, we've just rebranded, and
it looks fabulous.
It looks good, doesn't it? Thank you very much. It's still a work in progress, the website, but we are getting there. So that's www.expect.org.uk. All details for contact phone numbers and things are on there. I am on LinkedIn, although I must admit that I need to revamp my profile because it's not great.
Tomorrow.
Social media, we've got a Facebook page, Expect. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. And I believe that very soon you'll be able to find us on TikTok, which I'm not too sure about.
So how do clients or service users get referred to you?
So most referrals come through the local authority. We do get people contacting us via the website for family members, and we will always engage with those individuals as well. At the end of the day, we just want to help as many people as we can.
Thank you ever so much, Marg.
Thank you for having me. It's been very enjoyable.
Really nice to speak to you. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to The Unlikely Executive. If today's conversation sparked a new idea, inspired a shift, or gave you the nudge to step into your purpose, embrace it and take action. Remember to like, share and subscribe so you don't miss opportunities that can transform the way you lead, work and live your life. I'm Barbara Carlisle, Executive Coach, Mentor and Trainer. You can find my details in the show notes, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about the show and about your own journey. Until next time, take that step to be more authentically you, live your purpose, and enjoy making a positive impact.